Hello, and welcome to yet another bite-sized marketing webinar with me, Miles Phillips from Miles Marketing. And this week, we're going to be talking all about networking tips. Now, full disclosure, this is pre-recorded, even though it's being broadcast on the LinkedIn Live service. I'm on holiday for a couple of weeks, so yeah, I've been a good boy and I've backloaded them. So please feel free, if you've got any specific questions, to stick them in the chat. I will answer them post the broadcast. Or if you've got something that's really, really pressing, why don't you send me a little WhatsApp with whatever question you've got, and I will do my very best to answer it. Anyway, I hope this doesn't distract from your viewing, if you like, and hopefully you'll get some tips here. Now, I'd just like to draw your attention to next week's webinar, where we have the fantastic Timia Kadar. Sorry. Well, look, even though I'm pre-recording it, I'm not going to stop just because I fumbled over my words. I'm going to do it as if it is live. Yep. So Timia Kadar, she is the marketing chief and owner of Francis Cooper. She is going to be coming on with me next week to talk about the customer journey. Now, Timia, she lectures at university with marketing students, so it is going to be a fantastically detailed presentation from her. I'm sure that you will get a lot out of finding out about the more detail about the customer journey and how you interact with your customer, which is obviously very, very important. So tune in for that on the 20th of this month, September, where we will be live together. Now, today we're going to have some conversations around networking tips, and let's talk about networking and what it is, because I think a lot of people perhaps are a little bit standoffish, perhaps, about networking, and I think there's lots of sort of reasons as to why. If you see me looking down, it's because I have made some notes as usual. Now, I would say networking, you could call it word of mouth, you could call it recommendations. Like, it's, in my opinion, it is the best or the most common source of business leads that companies get. Unless you are, well, even if you are a big, large multinational, there's nothing like getting a word of mouth recommendation from your nearest and dearest about a product or a service. And this is what networking does. All right. In a nutshell, it allows you to build a relationship, or it allows people to learn more about you and, in essence, trust you. So when people get to know you and subsequently they get to like you, that trust level builds up. And there are plenty of different ways in which you can build trust. But I think it's really important to sort of like pull out some of the finer points of networking and maybe some of the different types of networking that's available. Now, in terms of different types of networking, some of the more common uh, examples would be structured group networking. And there are plenty of different networking groups out there. So I'm just going to reel off a couple that you may have heard of. The vast majority of these are face-to-face networking meetings, although some of them do offer either a hybrid service or an online only service. But talking about sort of traditional structured networking, you'd be talking about companies like BNI, the Federation of Small Businesses, Pop Connect, Chamber of Commerce, Networking B2B, Women in Business, the London Business Society, all of these, and there are many, many, many more. I could list them all day. If you want to find a structured piece of networking near you, then I suggest you Google just that, networking groups near me. Then you've got some online groups, and these specifically have sort of sprung up since COVID and lockdown, where we couldn't do the face-to-face stuff. So there are versions of what I've just talked about that are online only networking groups. I'm a member of an online BNI networking group based in Chelsea, although we've got members from all over the country. Um, I would suggest perhaps thinking about other opportunities online to network. So maybe there's a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, sort of some kind of digital way, depending on what sort of product or service that you want to sell. Have a little look at where maybe your potential clients will be, or what am I trying to say here? When you're selecting a networking group, and I would suggest that you go around and visit quite a few, just think about your key target market, have those people in mind, and think, do I think that these people within this room will have access to my target market? Okay. I mean, you never know who people know, but in general, I think you understand the gist of what I'm saying. So online groups, they don't have to be specific networking groups, but there will be other groups within genres that you can network in. Then you've got things like clubs and dinner clubs. I'm a member of a dinner club, actually. So you've got things like private members clubs. You've got things like Table Crowd or Trafford when it comes to dinner networking. It's for me, it's once a month. Go out for a nice posh dinner, and you get to talk to other business people. For the private members club, you've got things like Homegrown. You've got Hay Hill, just London-specific clubs. But there are private clubs all over the country, and I think don't just think about, you know, I'm going to say the golf club, right? Traditionally, you don't have to go to a structured networking event in order to network. So maybe you might find that people within a golf club will have contacts to your target market. Again, I'm trying to be general because it's hard to be specific. Who knows what your business or service is? But I would say, as long as you've identified your target market, then just have a little think about where you think it's best to spend your time. And a lot of people would say that playing golf and being at a golf club a lot is a good way to spend your time. The last thing I'd say here is think maybe about some charity organisations. So traditionally things like the Rotary Club, Round Table, the Masonic Lodge, they're all opportunities, albeit, the function is to raise money for good causes and help the local the local area. Getting mixed up on my words today. Help the local area, but also, it's a good way for people to get to know, like, and trust you. So, these are not ways in which you would actively be handing out your business card, if you're at the Rotary Club or if you're at a private members club, but certainly it's an opportunity to meet people and develop those relationships. I'd also say that other opportunities to network may be at a conference or at a trade show. And I have actually heard some people, they go along to gala dinners. I mean, I've looked into this, and who knew that you could go and buy a ticket to a gala dinner for a particular product or service that you offer? So yeah, I mean, if that works for you, then good stuff. And the other thing is, like, thinking about hospitality when you get invited to maybe go along to somebody's box at the horse racing or at the football match. Those are other opportunities in which you can network. So, networking tips, if you like, today doesn't necessarily be about specific traditional forms of networking, but think about all of the different environments that you can get yourself out there and get people to know, like, and trust you. So here are some tips, if you like, some general tips for the top when you are networking. Now, the very first thing I've got to say here is that you need to think about networking as a long-term marketing strategy for your business. I've been doing networking now for over 3 years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go very quickly from the groups that I belong to. And in my opinion, they haven't really given it enough time, all right, in order to get to know other people and for other people to get to know them. And very quickly, I think maybe it's a different sort of perspective that people have, but they may pay five, eight, £1,000, if you like, a year to join a networking group and expect to get that money back instantly. I think if you're maybe like a tradesperson or you're offering a product or a service that is low value or high and got perhaps high turnover, then yes, you might get your money back sort of quickly, as it were. But I would challenge you that, the whole point of this is to build deep and meaningful relationships with people so that they get to trust you. So my first tip here is, don't be in it for an instant fix. Definitely make sure that you're in it for the long run, and that way you will get the most out of it. The second tip is to think about your pitch. All right. Now, structured networking will have different options for pitch. Some people, some networks, they allow you to do a 60-second pitch. Some networks are busy and it's just 45 seconds or even 30 seconds. I know some of them where you just get like 10 seconds just to sort of throw your name out there, right? Because there's a lot of people in the room. But think about how you structure, how you introduce yourself. Now, I mentioned like being at the golf club or joining Rotary. Well, how can there's no pitch there, Miles. Well, like there is, because people will ask you what it is that you do. So have some different sort of things set up. Have a formal sort of pitch that you can reel off verbatim about what it is that you do, but also have that sort of the little chit-chatty stuff ironed out as well. So when people do ask you in a casual setting what it is that you do for a living, that you're able to deliver a really powerful, nice, succinct message. In terms of the structure, how do you structure like a elevator pitch or a 60-second intro all about you? So I would think, you introduce yourself. Hello, my name's Miles from Miles Marketing. And then here's the key bit. And I specialize in marketing strategy. So deliver what it is that you hang your hat off. What is your key sort of USP, if you like, about what it is that you do. So introduce yourself and then go straight in with what you're really good at. All right. What you deliver. Then I think you need to expand on that. If you've got the time, maybe give an example of when you have helped somebody within your business. And then if you're in a structured networking event, then I would be quite specific about who you're looking to be connected with. You can be as specific as I'm looking to be connected with Mr. A or Mrs. X at specific company. Right? You never know who people in the room will know. And with the powers of the likes of LinkedIn these days, people's networks are vast and wide. So if you can be really specific, it does help people when it comes to, A, making them listen, and B, making it easy for them to connect you with the type of people that you're looking for. If not, try and be general. You're looking for small business owners within the engineering or construction industry, blah, 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 right? And then at the end, remind them what you told them. So do a little sort of summary. I've done the presentation skills webinar before. You don't forget you tell them. Then you, sorry, this is live. This is live. So you tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. So don't be afraid to repeat yourself at the end, just to do a little recap to really cement things in people's minds. Ultimately, you want to get people feeling very comfortable that they know exactly what type of product and service it is that you do. And I would say that it's probably more beneficial every week when you rock up to your networking to pretty much say the same thing week in, week out. I don't mean ask for the same person necessarily every week, but it'll get drummed into people exactly what it is that you do. Changing things up every single week may take the shine off people remembering what you specialize in. Now, for those that feel that they can't sort of put this together, here's a little tip. I do know a few people that just tell stories, and it's really quite effective. People can connect with stories, and it gives them a reason to remember. So maybe take a completely different approach. And instead of formally sort of introducing what you do, maybe just tell a story, a succinct story, but a story nonetheless about how you help someone in terms of your products and services. That's a nice, and for face to face networking where you don't know anybody, I would say actually that's a really nice way to conduct yourself. So when you meet someone for the first time, certainly always ask them what they do first of all. But when they sort of ask you what you do, start with, well, let me tell you what happened last week. This happened, blah, blah, blah. All right. It's a lot more memorable. Another tip about networking is showing up. Now, I can't, especially when it's structured networking that happens on a weekly basis. Showing up is just as important as anything else you will do, because it shows what type of person you are, that you are committed. After you've done your research, when you sign up for a networking event, you know, people in the room need to see you there every single week. And I understand that you're going to be on holiday and you're going to be sick. If that's the case, then make provisions for someone else to go in your place and to represent you, so that people in the room know, well, I know, all right, Miles isn't here today, but Miles thinks enough of our group to actually send someone to come and be there on his behalf. I can't tell you how much it affects what I think about people when I see that they constantly can't be bothered to show up to a networking event that they are meant to be at every week. And guess what? If you can't be bothered to show up, then I can't be bothered to tell other people about you and your business. Because ultimately, and this is the best sort of thing I can say about networking, is it's about me putting my trust on the line with my connections when I recommend them to you. So I've got to be really sure that you're not going to let me down, because it'll be my friend or my contact that'll come back to me saying, well, what are you on about? You recommended me to so and so and they didn't show up, or they didn't get back to me, or they messed me around. And then that's detrimental to my relationship with that person. So that's really the nub of it all. It's about building the trust. Okay. Make sure you show up, go every week. And then the next tip is making an effort. All right. Now, all right, it is ag, but make the bloody effort. Okay. Once you have identified your key target market, work the room. Okay. If there's 20 people in your networking group, you shouldn't feel like you can network with them all. And to tell you a story, when I first started networking, that's the approach that I thought. That's the approach that I had, is that I tried to build relationships with every single person in the room. And what that meant is that I built very few relationships with people in the room because I was spreading myself too thin. So coming back to knowing your target market and the people that are more likely to rub shoulders with your target market, identify the key players. And within a networking group, there will be some people that are actually just really bloody good at networking and will go out of their way to promote you. So go out of your way to get to know them so that they know you as well. Okay. Make the effort. Have one-to-one meetings outside of the networking group. The weekly structured networking, or once a month structured networking, is just an opportunity to meet people. You're never going to build relationships by a 5-minute conversation. All right, it will help to build your relationship, but you're never going to build a deep and meaningful relationship unless you go the extra mile and arrange the meetings outside of the structured networking. So meeting people for a coffee or for a lunch or whatever, right? Even if it's online, but getting to know them deeper, making notes. I look down because I use my pad here to make notes. But every time I have a one-to-one, I make notes about the people so I can refer back to them when I meet them again. I'm not expected to remember everything, but if I make a note about their wife, Alison, and their two kids, John and Maria, and how old they are, and what their interests are, and the fact that they play golf and they love to go scuba diving and they went on holiday to Jamaica, when you right, but when you come back to talk to them again, you've got a point of reference where you can ask, how is Alison? Oh, well, Miles gives a shit about me. He's remembered what my wife's name is, right? It's about building that trust. Another tip, think of others, okay? Stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about others. Who do you know that can help this person? All right. So once you do like somebody and trust them and you think that they're a good person, who within your network do you think you could introduce to this person? So be thinking about others. Um, on the same note, I've heard this a number of times now, but be a farmer, right? So be a cultivator of relationships rather than a hunter who's just out hunting for deals. You see these people, and within any networking group, you can go, oh, hunter, hunter, farmer, farmer, farmer. And it's the farmers that, because people sort of think, oh, yeah, there's the hunt, it does it work? Yeah, of course it works, but it's a short-term work. If you're constantly taking business from other people, but not sharing the love back and not giving back and not cultivating the relationships, then it's a short-term strategy. And those people tend to leave networking groups very, very quickly. But the farmers, the people that cultivate things, the people that grow relationships and really get to know each other, they tend to hang around and they tend to be much more successful in the long term because they've built that trusting relationship. Oh, this is a hard one for me, right? I know I come on and I do these webinars, and I think a lot of people perhaps think that I'm really comfortable in front of the camera and I enjoy all this stuff. I don't really enjoy the face-to-face networking stuff. I find it really quite uncomfortable, and I've been going to more and more face-to-face networking lately, where you meet like a bunch of strangers in a bar in a private club, and I'm like a fish out of water. I really don't enjoy it. So I have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I have to force myself to meet people. And do you know what happens? You meet some fantastic people and you build some really good relationships. But I wrote down here, just be okay being uncomfortable, right? It is uncomfortable. And I don't know, maybe it gives you some solace if you think that, like me, Mr. Outgoing, is uncomfortable with going to networking events. So be targeted. I've talked about this a lot. Who are you targeting? Don't waste your time. But also, don't be rude, right? Because you never know who people know. I've been to some networking events where the moment I start talking, the person who's listening just thinks, oh, well, I can never do anything for this person. And they're really bloody rude and they walk off thinking that they're being economical with their time, right? I'm not going to spend time talking to Miles because um, Miles can't do anything for me and I can't do anything for Miles. Well, you haven't even got to know Miles, right? I mean, Miles knows lots of people, right? So um, be be courteous, yes. Be mindful of how much time you spend with people, but don't like cut it off so rude that you just leave a bad taste in that person's mouth, because um, you know manners don't cost anything, and I would say just uh, you know understand what it is that they do. Every person you meet is an opportunity to build relationships at the very uh, to expand your network at the very least. And I understand that you won't be dealing and doing business with everybody. But you'd be surprised how out of the blue someone will call you up and say, "Oh, Miles, I got your business card because I met you years ago, and I need someone to do this." All right, so just don't be bloody rude. Be prepared. the awkward fumble in the pocket, the opening of the wallet. Oh, I've got a business card here somewhere, right? Just be prepared when you go in. Have all your business cards in one particular pocket and have them really like easily at hand. The other thing is perhaps save to your camera roll the QR code for your LinkedIn account. All right. If you don't know how to do that, then drop me a message and I'll show you how to do it. But having that QR code on your phone allows people to scan you and allows you instantly to connect with people. Just be bloody organized. All right. Um, Utilize any WhatsApp groups that have been set up for the particular networking event perhaps you're going to. Introduce yourself into them and leave a little message in terms of, that you're looking forward to seeing people. If you feel confident, do a little video message, because then at least people know what you look like. At the very least, post a little picture of yourself so that people will be able to recognize you and perhaps come up to you if they're interested in your product or services. Um, you know, make sure that you sell yourself. Another thing that I've felt uncomfortable with sometimes is, I would consider bragging about your successes or your experiences. But, people need to know about you, right? So, especially if you are the brand. So, be comfortable being confident with you and your services. Another quick sort of tip here about when you meet people that you don't know is, how do you get the sort of conversations going? Well, try and ask open questions. And quite frankly, try and ask the other person more about them. Have you ever, right, met someone, had a conversation where you have talked for the majority of the time, and afterwards you've thought, oh, wow, what a really nice person. Oh, they're lovely, right? And actually, you don't really know a lot about them, but they've just let you talk, all right? And think about that in the other way around, all right? Allow the other person to talk. Seem that you're, that sounds disingenuous, seem that you're interested, but be interested in what they've got to say. Ask the open questions, and they will have a much better opinion of you rather than you just downloading on them what you're all about, right? Ask open questions. Make sure you follow up on things as well. I've had a number of referrals from different people across the months and years, and you need to follow up. You need to get in touch. If someone's gone to the lengths of recommending you, the least you can do is follow up and get back in touch with those people. Even if it leads nowhere, it shows, all right, the person that's made the recommendation that you are trustworthy and worth recommending. Now, a general rule about networking in general is, don't be a butterfly. I have seen lots of people do this flitting around. They pop up in a group that you're in, and then a few months later, they pop up in a different group, and they pop up in a different group, and they think that they're being effective because they're covering lots of different groups and they're joining none. And actually, they're not building any type of relationship. What I said at the top is that this is all about building trust, and you can't build trust with someone when they just flit up and they're in your social group for an hour at a time, and then you might see them in 3 months' time or 6 months' time or a year down the road. What my recommendation in terms of networking is, do your research, if you're new to networking, visit lots of different networks and different types of networks, and then consider the ones that are going to hit your target market or be more like you, where you feel comfortable, and join one or two and do them properly. Because if you are a good networker, it will take up some of your time outside of the structured part of the networking. So let's say that you go to a weekly networking event. You want to think about putting in a few extra hours outside of that weekly meeting in order to build the relationships and to nurture any leads that you're able to give your fellow members. Build trust. I'll write down your loads times. Build trust. Build trust. The last thing I'd say about, because I didn't think I had a lot to say this week. The last thing I'll say about networking is it's really useful for your own business, especially if you're a one-person band. It allows you to meet people that you can outsource to. Sometimes you need services for your business, and by meeting people at networking, you're able to find people that you trust to service your own business, but also helping friends and family. A lot of mine refer to me as like the yellow pages, because I pretty much know somebody that's able to, supply you with a kitchen or a tiler or some kind of tradesperson or someone to sort you out with insurance or a mortgage, all of that sort of fun stuff. All right. So it is very useful from that respect. Right. I'm going to leave you now with 3 tips from all of those sort of list of things. I'll leave you with my top 3 tips. The first one is to stick with it and put in the effort, work the room, target the people that you want to build deeper relationships with, and make an effort to meet them outside of your structured networking. Make sure that number 2, make sure you polish your delivery of your elevator pitch or your 60 seconds or your little intro when you're meeting people in a social circle. Make sure that's polished and that you deliver it and practice it regularly. And the last one is go out of your way to connect for others. All right. It's about giving and not necessarily about receiving. So, when you ask the deep probing questions about people's business, try and think about who that would benefit from those products and services. Giving a referral or recommendation, giving rather than receiving, and farming rather than hunting. I'm trying not to use a patented networking catchphrase. All right, those that do networking will know what I mean. But it is true that those that give the most receive the most. I think I got away with it there. Okay, so there we go. There's my networking tips. If you have anything specific you'd like to ask me, then please drop me a text. I'll be happy to answer that for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, where the fantastic Timia Kada is going to be talking to us all about the customer journey. And I promise you, it's going to be fantastic. So please find the link and click attend. We would love to see you. So that's it. I'm obviously enjoying myself on my honeybobs, and I will see you next time. Ta-ta.